Hulisani Ravele. Welcome to yet another inspiring BBC Lifestyle Lounge session. Now, I know we all love spring and summer. Those sunny days, I mean, what's not to love? We get to bask in the sun, enjoy a cold glass of something nice, some great food, even better company. That's exactly what life is all about. And so for today's conversation, I have invited culinary gurus who literally whip up 3-course meals like it's nothing. They make the perfect everything. Perfect lamb, steaks, salads, the perfect desserts, you name it, and they pair that with the perfect playlist. I'm hoping that today's conversation will not only leave you inspired because of their journeys and their passions of food, but that it will also help you and I get a little bit closer to getting a 10 out of 10 the next time we have some guests at home, all right? Not only that, it is Christmas, of course, just around the corner, festive season. The malls are giving it away, right? With all the deco, we're going to chat some signature Christmas dishes to help you out. Today, I am joined by two incredible women. They are both chefs, authors, and entrepreneurs. It is Naqiyah Mayat as well as Nti Ramabuya. But Chef Nti to all of us. Ladies, happy, festive, welcome.
Happy!
Now, one of my favorite shows is back on BBC Lifestyle. That is Come Dine With Me South Africa. How do you feel about the show? Your favorite part?
Love it. Love it when they snoop up in people's bedrooms.
And they find things they're not supposed to be finding, right?
And that voice, the sarcasm for me.
Listen, his name is Dave Lamb. I have the biggest voiceover crush on him. And yes, certainly. We all love and know Come Dine With Me South Africa. It is 4 strangers coming together, going to each other's homes, wining and dining each other with the hope of walking away with that 10,000 Rand. There's always so much drama because you don't know what you can expect. There's undercooked meat. You can even sometimes find hair in your plate. And like Naqiyah said, when they go snooping in each other's homes.
Fun.
Let me put you in the hot seat. We are on Come Dine With Me South Africa right now. You guys are the contestants. What theme are you going with and why? Let's start with you.
For me, I would go with something very casual. I think games night. Because
Nice.
I want them engaged, you know. I want them in their own space. I'm gonna, you know, as they arrive, have some snacks, have some bevs. But by the time they get to the dinner table, they have competed. They've, you know, the energy is tense.
The focus is
They
on the
forget
game,
about
not the
me.
food.
And my food.
Ooh,
Yeah.
strategies are how. Okay, girl. And for you, Naqiyah?
I think for me, I just don't ever underestimate the power of a white dinner table. So I love the fact that it just speaks elegance and it takes you away from your everyday normality.
Yeah.
So I would love my guests to be seated at a fine dining table, me preparing plated dishes, just to enjoy the experience of it.
I mean, you're already going for the 10 out of 10 just by arrival.
Talk about competition.
I know, I see you. I would not enjoy being like, you know how on Come Dine With Me there's 4 contestants. I'm not coming into the episode that has you 2 on it because you'd be so far ahead of me. Let's talk food. If we're talking menu now, let's stay with the all-white theme. What's on the menu?
So it's not a round trip ticket to Paris, but I would love to bring that whole fine dining experience to my dinner table. So if I've got to just put it out there, starter of maybe a salmon lollipop.
Ooh.
A salmon lollipop. I mean, firstly, the fact that you're calling it a lollipop.
With the cauliflower foam and a pea puree and seaweed crumble. I mean, I would love to just give that to my guests. Have them immerse themselves into that experience.
Yours sounds like one of those, what do they call those dining experiences? You know, those like, is it a degustation what meal where there's all sorts of flavors?
Food gastronomy.
There we go. Chef Nti, I'm popping up to your home. What are we having? What's on the menu?
For me, like I said, we keep it very casual. So I like to use convenient products. So I would make a cheat pizza to start using like a tortilla bread. So I don't have to make my dough from scratch. And it gives you that super crunch. And I would make it with like your caramelized pear, a bit of mozzarella, a balsamic reduction, and maybe give them like your risotto, turn that into some arancinis, like mushroom arancinis.
Just hide all the packets.
Yes. Well, Well, the packet is just the tortilla.
I'm going to ask you a little bit later on about this thing of store-bought, making from scratch, because we know when it comes to come dine with me South Africa, that's always such a nitty-gritty thing, like, you bought it straight from the shop. But one of the things a lot of us notice when we're coming to wine and dine is the table setting. Naqiyah helped us out with a few tips and tricks on how you can set your table. Then we'll get back into conversation all around food.
Don't feel intimidated when planning your next dinner party. Here are some top tips to ease you through the process. Consider the sizes of your vases when planning your floral tablescape. Shorter vases are inexpensive. They also prevent you having to look past the vases or the flowers to have a look at your partner across. Don't fuss too much about which order to use your cutlery. A quick tip is to bunch them all together and put them into little containers down the center of your table. And finally, don't toss out any of your grandma's special side plates. Break them up, using them on your tablescape, even if they don't match the rest of your crockery. These are some of my tips to enjoy your next dinner party.
Doesn't she make it look so easy? Yeah, I told you, 10 out of 10. The next time we're hosting, you and I, our guests are going to be giving us that score. Chef Nti, let's talk plating. You know, like plating is such an important thing because they say that you eat with your eyes first, right? And there's do's and don'ts. What are some of your do's and don'ts?
So the trick is, obviously, when you plan your menu, you start thinking about the colors, because now that will then translate to your final plate. So you want to have different colors, you want to play around with some textures, different textures. Do not fill up your plate. And try and, I mean, when you do food styling, they'll even say, try and find an S angle.
What?
Yes. And if you're doing portions of the same thing, do work in odd numbers. So you want to do 3 of each. But the smaller the plate, the more elegant it looks. But my thing is also do social dining, tapas style. So if you don't want to do individual plating, take everything in one plate and put it in the center. Eat like you're eating with your family.
And for you, Naqiyah, what should you not do?
You should not just take a spoon and dump it onto your plate.
I feel so judged.
I think you've got to be very mindful of what you've cooked. So if you're serving something like a very weak lentil or a weak curry, put it in a bowl. Put the bowl onto your plate. It really doesn't matter that there's a dish upon a dish. It just makes a bit more visual sense. I think we immerse ourselves into our food before we actually consume it. So we'll look at it on our plate. And really, if you've just got rice and curry or like a big piece of meat dumped onto your plate, really doesn't enhance the experience.
The eating experience. Okay. You know, I feel a little bit judged because when I do my 7 colors, you know, I just put everything on there. Now I need to get a little bowl so that I can at least put the meat in there, and then you can kind of like put it together yourself. Okay, I'm learning. Let's talk about meat, you know, meat and fish, and trying to get it right, especially in terms of, is it medium, is it well done? What are some of the tools and tricks of the game that I can use there? Let's start with you, Naqiyah. From a fish perspective, I've got some salmon. I can't see if it's still pink inside or not.
So I think people are always so intimidated by cooking fish. And I feel that it's one of the easiest things to cook, purely because of the cooking time. You really don't spend a lot of time in your kitchen. And one tip to your viewers or anyone that's on Come Dine With Me, always select the fish option, because you can get it cooked, plated, and onto your table in minimal time. You're not babysitting this whole leg of lamb that's in your oven.
And if you make a mistake, you can redo it very quickly.
You can redo it. So you would ideally want flaky fish. It should be succulent. It should be moist and juicy inside. Don't overcook it. You want to pop it under the grill. You don't need to bake it. Just because you want a nice crispy outer skin, or if you're doing it on your stove top, sear the skin side down first. A good tip that I've learned is if you make slashes into your skin, pop it down into your pan, that skin almost crinkles and crispens, and you can get all of that flavor into your fish as well.
And you can see if it's still just right or not,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because you'll say to me, don't overcook it, don't undercook it, but you're just like, is it 15 minutes? Is it 7 minutes?
4 minutes. A piece of salmon, 100 grams, 125 grams, 4 minutes. Flip it over, you should see a very thin pink line in the middle. Perfectly done fish.
Chef Nti, let's talk inyama, the meat. You know, there's that rule of it should be as soft as like this part of your hand, but honestly, who's going to go around pinching other people's meat? What's the trick there?
I think the trick with meat is rest it. before you cook it. So get it out of your fridge 30 minutes before you cook it, rest it. About 5 minutes before it goes onto the pan, start to season it. Actually, 5 minutes even long. 2 minutes before it goes onto your pan, season it and cook it on high heat. If you've got a bit of fat on your steak, render it down, as in cook down that fat. And once it's cooked, as it goes on your plate, you want to rest it
Before the plate.
before the plate.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So rest it half an hour before you cook it, and then seal it on high heat and rest it before you plate.
I've always thought that seasoning your meat for longer like gives it more flavor, but you seem to be saying it's actually quite the opposite.
If you're making oxtail, season it overnight. If you're making steak, you want to season it just before it hits the pan, because the salt is going to dry out. It will take out all that moisture you want in your meat. So just season just before you cook it.
I'm going to be an expert. Fish, steak, oxtail, you name it. I got this. I got this. Let's talk wine and beverages. You know, when it comes to eating, the food and the liquid need to come together. Do I have to always pair red meat with red wine, white meat with white wine? Can I break the rules? And if I'm having non-alcoholic beverages, like, can I still have that pairing experience? Let's start with the non-alcoholic.
I really love to add garnishes to already store-bought drinks.
Ah, yes, girl.
That is always an easy trick, always seems a bit more fancier on the table as well. So you can lay out sliced pieces of lemon, a few berries, lots of herbs, so thyme, rosemary, mint, and let your guests experiment with what's on the table. I find that using sparkling grape juice, for example, it's non-alcoholic, looks a bit nicer. Even if you've got prettier glasses, it always helps to elevate that experience. If you're having fish, generally a white grape juice always seems to taste better on the palate. If you're having lamb or something a bit more heartier, maybe go with a red grape juice.
But for me, Chef Nti, I'm one of those people, like, if I feel like a white wine that day, regardless of what I'm eating, I don't let that dictate, you know, what drink I'm going to have. Is that incorrect? Should I be at the white for white, red for red?
I think just go with what you enjoy. Yes, the rule is you want your white wine for your white meat and your red wine for your red meat. But when it comes to pairing, I mean, I pair with beer sometimes, I pair with cognac, I pair with whiskey. But the rule, of course, is white for white meat and red for red meat. But if you've got white only and you're enjoying your red meat, go ahead and enjoy it, you know?
And
Why
hopefully
not?
your guest won't mark you one down to be like, she did it incorrectly. You made a point about store-bought things just now, you know, and when it comes to dessert, especially on Come Dine With Me South Africa, we sometimes see the store-bought version that suddenly gets plated up so nicely, whether it's a trifle, whatever the dessert may be. What are your feelings on hosting and store-bought items that you spruce up to make it your own?
I think the fanciest store-bought item or dessert would be an eaten mess. Three ingredients.
tell.
Three ingredients. Meringue, store-bought meringue, crumble up, whipped cream, and strawberries.
Yeah.
Mix it all together, put it into individual servings, and it looks so chic on the table.
Huh. Okay, for you, Chef Nti, store-bought versus to store-buy or not to store-buy? That is the question.
The answer is definitely store-bought. Because I believe in spending quality time with your guests when you're hosting, you know? When you host, it's not the time for you to be babysitting the lamb, as you were saying, you know, for 2 hours in the kitchen. So if you can get a bit of convenience, go for it. I love store-bought malva pudding and make homemade custard, or even store-bought custard, warm it up and, you know, add a bit of fruit, plate it beautifully, and you've got all the time to be with your guests, and you know that you are guaranteed on taste and quality because they did it right at the store.
Okay, now the real question. If somebody asks you at your dinner party, this is so good, did you make it? Do you admit that it was store-bought, Naqiyah?
I think I'd admit that it was store-bought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. We live such busy lives. People should not be made to feel guilty about finding ways of making the whole dining experience enjoyable. Because why must I be slaving away? I want to be with you. I want to enjoy quality time with you.
I like that you've cleared that up. So then when you see me in the shops and you come to my house for dinner, please, Naqiyah and Nti said it's okay. speaking about spending time with your guests, when it comes to entertainment, you know, are you preparing a playlist that is specifically for the dinner? How do you go about making sure that your guests are entertained?
I think we have so much technology at our fingertips. So even a streaming audio service, we could use that. If you don't have a home entertainment service, maybe one of those Bluetooth speakers. And you don't actually need to download or create your own playlist. You can access so many playlists online.
That are already done.
Even if you've kind of got it going on in the background. For me, I think being a food personality, I love having my guests experience some sort of moment. Call it education if you must. Even if I've got to get in a barista and he kind of does a quick 20-minute little barista course with us. It's something that they can empower themselves with, take it home and host their own dinner parties. So I love entertaining my guests with some sort of additional educational entertainment.
I love it.
You know, on those streaming platforms, there's one playlist that I love. It's called Easy. It's literally all your popular songs that you have on all the radio stations, but the acoustic versions of it.
The best.
So soft, so
Love
soft.
it.
Okay, I'm on my way home. Our dinner is done. Do we have parting shots? Are we having parting, port for the road? Or is it just one of those, you've eaten at my house, it's enough now, thank you guys?
I definitely love to give something for the guests to take away. I make my own sauces, so very easy. You find mason jars, you can buy those at the supermarket, and you know, just put it in there and label it beautifully, and you have something especially for Christmas, you know, because we cook in bulk and there's always leftovers. So always make sure that you've got packaging for your guests to take some of the leftover food with them.
And not your precious Tupperware, right, Naqiyah?
No. Beautiful eco packaging. You just need really nice ribbon on it. I love for my guests to go home and for the experience to still continue for them. Exactly like what Chef Nti said. What about a little, I know it's a lot of extra effort, but a little breakfast box for the morning. So even if it's a muffin, that they just want to have breakfast and coffee in bed, they've been out the night before, and just to enjoy that whole entire experience.
Yeah, and it's extended. Like you said, it's like, not only am I going to wake up in the morning and say, dinner at Naqiyah was so lovely, but there's a reminder in the morning to be like, she's still here.
Or it's just a little patkos. So pack away leftovers and off you go.
Yeah.
Nice and neat. Before they even ask you for it, I couldn't agree with you more. Now, you're both chefs, right? You're authors, you are professionals. But let's be honest, sometimes there are flops in the kitchen. What's been one of your biggest flops in the kitchen?
My biggest flop in the kitchen was just recently, actually. I was hosting a few friends. I swear by my cheat pizza, and I made it, left it in the oven too long, and it bent, and I didn't have enough to remake. But fortunately, it bent on the side. So I took a scissor and just trimmed it up, a pair of scissors, trimmed it up, and then cut it up beautifully and plated. And you know, for us chefs, it's not bent, it's now smoked.
Learn something new. And for you, Naqiyah, messes and flops in the kitchen.
I think those are actually very important because it gives you an understanding of what not to do. I think for me, burning food, forgetting, sitting on my device. So I think the burning food situation happens every now and then. A quick and a good tip is to actually put a whole potato into, if you're cooking a curry, for example, and it draws out that smell. It draws out the smell of anything burnt. Or don't scrape your pot. Empty it into a new pot and just carry on cooking.
Even the salt, the potato is a trick. When you've over-seasoned, you drop it in there, it will suck off the salt as well.
I've always said that potatoes are such an important vegetable. Honestly, they don't get enough credit. They really don't. All right, let's wrap it up with, I only have 30 minutes. Like you said earlier on, Chef Nti, we lead such busy lives, but I still want to create an experience for my friends. What am I creating in 30 minutes that is a go-to meal for both of you?
I could do a 3-course meal in 30 minutes. So you whip up a quick salad, have a dressing. I mean, always have different textures of things like crispy onion and avo. That's your salad.
The feta, all of that.
Fish, we know we can make it in under 6 minutes.
There we go.
And make your pasta, because pastas are also very quick to make. Yeah, so pasta like a carbonara, also very quick to make. So you've got a decent 3-course meal, and it didn't take you forever.
Okay, and for you, what would you add to that? If anything that you can do in under 30 minutes?
Store-bought dessert, right?
Yeah.
I was going to add that, and I was going to say because you both said it's okay.
Yes.
So I think instant cake batters are great. Because you could elevate it. You could make a condensed milk sauce on the side that you serve individually. Each guest pours it onto their cake, looks a bit fancier. And fish. Fish is just so easy and quick to cook. And I think the tip is to pair it with a good herb. So dill, parmesan, fresh cream, bring it up to the boil with some garlic and butter, and just pour it over your fillet of fish.
30 minutes, quick and delicious. Love it. 'Tis the season to be jolly, and I did promise you that we would talk about some signature Christmas dishes. Chef Nti, if I am like, I love this holiday, it is my favorite holiday, what do I absolutely have to have on the menu?
You absolutely have to have hard body chicken.
Yes!
Growing up in the township, it was never Christmas until you have hard body chicken. This is free range chicken and ginger beer.
Gemere.
Scones and ginger beer. And then also make sure that you've got enough food so that morning after, no one is cooking.
Yes.
For lunch the next day, no one is cooking. So you want to cook so you have leftovers.
This can be such a frantic time, and like on a seriously emotional note, I have heard people who were hosting family, and instead of it being a time for enjoyment and fun and just being together, they hated it. It was just too much. What is some of your advice, Naqiyah, on just being the perfect host, but also enjoying the moment?
I think that to take out the frazzle from the festive season, plan.
Yes.
So spend some time, whether it's sourcing inspiration images online, going through websites looking for recipes, plan your menus, plan your shopping list, plan how you're going to actually prepare your food. So everything's laid out for you. On the day, it's simple. You're not running off to the shops because you've forgotten something. Set your table the night before. And for me, over the festive season, it's about having my family there, but also being fully present with them.
Yeah.
Even if you're dining outdoors, everything feels a bit casual. For example, kids are in the pool, families coming over, maybe they're bringing stuff with them. But plan all of those little components. And whether it's just in your head or you're writing it down, it just makes for festive, taking out the frazzle from the festive.
Yeah, yeah. And making it an enjoyable holiday.
100%. I actually love the planning part because that's key. In fact, if you can, start the day before with your prep. Chop, peel, cut, all of that the day before.
Where the work
And
comes
just stick it in the fridge.
Yeah.
Stick it in the fridge.
And then on the day, you're just cooking. You've got your reference pictures. You know what you're cooking. You know how you're plating it. All of that stuff. But plan. I love it.
Ladies, thank you so much. Wishing you a wonderful festive with your families. I know that your families are in good hands when it comes to what they're going to eat. For the rest of us, hey, we are going to do better because after today's conversation all about food, being the perfect host, I think we have learned so much. I'm definitely taking in those tips about those 30-minute meals that you can put together, how fish is an absolute go-to, the importance of being able to also pair non-alcoholic beverages with good food still being possible, and of course, how can we forget for this festive, let's plan. I think I might even go down to the level of planning. If I'm plating, where are the plates? Are they ready? Are they set out? Because I'm trying to make this an enjoyable time. And that's where we leave it for today. Definitely giving you lots of food for thought, right? Be sure to keep your eyes on our BBC Lifestyle social media pages so you can get great conversation and tips on how you can live your fullest life.